It's me. Uh, I feel like I'm about to have a peering event, or potentially could, and I'm gonna do it a little differently this time. Whereas before, like I'd report on the peering. I'm gonna see if I can peer through time, and this isn't something I pursued. It's just things I noticed in kinds of meditation, you could say, but not always in meditation necessarily. Because sometimes you can be awake. For me, it's when my eyes open and a certain state comes, and then my eyes zone out. And I've described it before in my other Proofecy protocols. So my other Proofecy protocols, I guess, are a prerequisite to this. Um, except for the fifth one, which is kind of, it's different, but or the fourth, fifth one. But anyway, I felt some of the quote unquote symptoms of appearing coming on. So I just spent a little while trying to make the environment and get my camera right and get my black thing. What I'm gonna do is my TV's there, so I might look at that. But if it's more convenient, I have my old laptop. I have a couple old laptops that I don't use. One's broken and one I forgot the password on. But anyway, that case I'm going to put down on my carpet down here. So yeah, I might look like up or down depending. And the reason I have this light is I'm going to put it over here so there's just enough light, so there'll be just enough light maybe to see me while I try to do this, but not so much light that it interferes with like the low light levels I need thus far in order to experience the peering condition. So I'm going to set it up. I don't know how it's going to go. I might have lost it because I just spent a half hour trying to figure out how I was going to do this and record it. And what I'm going to do is, if I peer, I call it peering. If I peer, then I'll just talk for like an hour about, or until I feel like I get the feeling that it's the right time. And then on this device, I'll pull up YouTube, and I'll refresh it. I'll refresh the YouTube twice. I'll pull up YouTube. It's on airplane mode now. I'll turn off airplane mode. Something will come up. I'll refresh it once, and I'll refresh it twice. And the first thing that comes up, I'll press the button. There will be images on the first two, which may be part of the peering or the entire peering. So just those two refreshes, I don't know, but that's what I'm going to do, and we're going to see what happens. Trying to document this type of thing. And I've talked about the philosophy of why I feel it's a worthy pursuit. So I'm going to set it up now, and hopefully you can see me, and there might be long minutes of silence. We'll just see what happens. I might have to cut this video short too, because I only got a couple gigabytes of memory, but we'll give it a shot. Because I'd like to do it all in one take, so to speak, if at all possible. But it might take me an hour just to get to the peering, because I usually can't do it at will, and I've already lost the feeling, the sensation that I normally get, which is there's the tunneling that I've described before, but before that there's a tingling, it's like a pressure change, slight tingling in this part of my head. Not even a tingling, it's just I don't know, a distinct feeling. It's very subtle. I'll try to describe it. In the low levels of light, like, and kind of zoning out with the eyes, kind of letting the eyes not focus on what's in front of you. Like the smokiness, not like whoo smoky, just like this fogginess can come out in these like dim lights. And then sometimes almost like a staticiness, very fine grained staticiness can come too, just before interacting with the veil, which is when the fogginess appears more in the foreground over the background of the dark image of the whatever the dark thing is I'm looking at. In this case, my old computer bag. And that fogginess will start to kind of separate a little bit. And encountering the veil then can come up with very peculiar, strange images. Can be very like cartoony images, and they can be very captivating, but the goal is to get past those and to try not to move the eyes and not move the focus. But I'm just going to try to do it now and not waste any more time. Alright, I'm at the veil, which is nothing spooky or creepy, it's just I see the quote unquote field moving. I don't know how else to talk about it. Things are moving. I'm having a hard time keeping a still picture. Tunneling very heavily. My field of vision is becoming more dark. There's a slight pulsing to the vision. Very subtle and slow. I'm starting to get a purple haze, which usually only happens when I have my eyes closed. It's not what I'm looking for. Those tend to be associated with things I see that happen days later instead of an hour later. But we'll just see what happens. See some pretty distinct fibers and tendrils moving. So Seems as though now I'm somewhere else. I'm not where I wanted to go. I'm not at the veil anymore. And I'm not looking through the veil. Maybe we'll just let it ride, see what happens. Something's trying to come through. Something's starting to come through. See hands. They could be my hands. Yeah, I see myself swiping. I see myself swiping and typing. I see myself. But I also saw, I'll draw a picture in a little bit. I saw a person sitting sideways, like a profile of a person sitting down, like at a desk or at a table. Looked like I could see their shoulder. They might have had a tank top on, or like a dress maybe. I feel like I could see their bare shoulder. And looked like they had quite short hair. Kind of looked like, yeah, I can't really tell if it was a woman or not. It's either a woman or like a slim man. I see someone looking straight on, but very quickly. See hands again. They don't quite look like they're typing. They look more like they're like if they were building a sculpture out of clay or something. Or like doing something like playing with dough or clay or a bunch like little things. Putting together little things, making something. It almost looks like typing, but not quite. I don't think it's playing the piano because they're staying right beside each other. Like the hands are staying right beside each other, doing something. Of course, it could just be me seeing my own hands. And I know sometimes I talk with my hands all the time. So. I'm trying to wait to see if I see a more descriptive face. I barely saw anything. Things are moving, I just can't make them out. It's easy to go just see hands and faces. I'm seeing something go back and forth, almost like trees blowing in the wind, or like almost like the way in a car wash, the way sometimes those big felt pads will like swing back and forth, like there's something malleable about the way the thing's going back and forth. Something bendy to it. It appears almost like a horizon line, but it's going back and forth too rigidly to be a normal tree line. But there's some sort of demarcation between light and dark and like this zigzaggy back and forth type motion. I see something like tubular. I keep seeing my face. Probably because I'll be watching myself make this video to make sure I'm in the screen. I have a mirror set up behind my phone so that I can see the surface of it. That could be it. It looks like me. Saw something tubular. Almost like feeding a pipe into a hole, or is in heavy perspective. This isn't as strong as I was hoping it would be, but I'm seeing stuff, so we'll see what happens. I feel like I see someone dancing. Yeah, I just saw someone reaching over. Alright, we're gonna call it good. We're gonna call it good. Turn on the lights. Alright, hopefully I've been recording this whole time. Yep. Alright, so yep, that's the part where I see myself. I have a piece of cardboard set up in front of it so I can't see myself. Because I did a careful, so I gotta sit just right here. I did a careful job of covering up any face, like in my environment, of like any books. Like I got a whole, now that I've had my peering, I gotta like, basically for an hour, I gotta make sure I don't look at any DVD covers, you know, no magazines. I had a couple like coupons laying around with people's faces on them. I had to cover those up to like make sure that whatever I see in the next hour, I don't see anything. Oh, I'm gonna also not move my hands so that the peering doesn't have anything to do with my hands. So I'm just gonna sit here and like stare at things in front of me, which is hopefully nothing, for a little while until I feel like it's the right time. It might not be an hour. I don't know why it always seems like an hour, but maybe where I was just being more willful. I was being more willful and trying to do it versus just letting it come on. Then maybe that has something to do with it. And also, I have to stick to what I said I was gonna do, because the way in which the protocol, you know, once you define your protocol, like you can't, like it might not be a super great video, you know. It might not be something I want to watch or has anything to do. It might not be the type of movie or whatever video that, it might not be something that lends itself easily to the limited information I am so far able to attain or see. But I did want to say that, yeah, that last image I saw was like someone kind of coming down like this, almost like giving someone a hug, or like tucking a kid into bed, or there's like a slowness to it. But just before that, I saw some very like, seemed like it looked kind of like hip hoppy-ish dancing, but it could be someone moving just that type of way. It wasn't strongly a body, but it kind of looked like a body. There's the person sitting like kind of sideways at a desk or something like that. Profile, slim. Feel like you could see their shoulder. Or if you couldn't, then like someone wearing a tank top, but it might have been like a tank top over a t-shirt, but I feel like I saw a shoulder. And a pretty unique profile, kind of a certain cuteness to the profile, but also I wouldn't say a seriousness, but not like icky sweet cute, just like kind of cute-ish, versus like how I would not fit that description. You know, I'd be scraggly or old looking. The biggest thing, yeah, and I saw a lot of hands. I already made the gestures. I'm not sure if you could see them, but like, okay, I'm gonna close my eyes when I just. This is a new technique. I had never thought of this yet. I'm trying to, because that's all right. So I'm closing my eyes, which means I won't see my hands making the gestures that I saw, which was like, it seemed like someone like almost like clay sculpture, or like making meatballs, or like there's a softness to it, but it also could have been like braiding hair, like or you know, like it could have been, I'm not sure what it was, some kind of either soft mass, or I mean it could have even been like putting a bunch of acupuncture pins in, but I don't think so. It was hands together. But again, it could be just my hands. I don't know. Might be later when I'm making my dinner, I don't know. Saw whatever that thing was swaying, but it could be just that I was looking at something more jaggedy, kind of like looking at a tree line, relatively up close, not like a far off horizon, but like a close tree line. But it seemed to be going like this, very mechanically, or with a certain sway to it that made it seem like it wasn't a tree line. But it could also be when I'm watching, if I'm not paying super close attention and if I don't hold my head perfectly straight, then I'll see stuff go like this. Also, the person sitting at the desk or table or something like that, I feel like I saw their arm out. For some reason it was tilted this way, which might mean that when I'm watching the video I tilt my head. Or when I make the video of it I might be tilting my camera. What else? So yeah, I recognize that this isn't like a super strong case, or even if it's successful, it's like, yeah, so what? And it's like, yeah, exactly, so what? It's not a big deal. It's not like a superpower. I mean, it's not even it's clearly not, but what it could do is, if enough of these descriptions hold pretty good, and to my mind, that's a pretty, there's enough specificity to it that if, 4 out of the 5 things I said I saw a few other things too, but they were too vague, and because I'm always looking for faces, anything that looks like a face, but it was just too vague. And even the things I saw, sometimes I see things for longer, but they were really just like a second and a half. So seems like whatever I'm gonna watch is gonna kind of jump around some, and it might be dispersed throughout, because again, I also saw a lot of other things moving. It's just they were too unclear for me to see. It takes a lot. I think it takes a lot of focus. There's only one time, and it's the first time that it ever happened, where I saw something clear as day, and then later I saw it again, like perfectly. But I was in such like a zoned out state, and it seems to actually work best when I'm like depressed or lethargic, or really when I have like a very magnetic energy versus an electric energy. When my energy kind of goes more magnetic, so to speak. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about, but it's almost like an internal negative pressure versus like kind of the higher pressure or the higher flow of like an electric feeling. It seems to be a more magnetic feeling, what I call magnetic. This certain sensation of lowness, but it doesn't have to be like depressed. But anyway, I was so magnetic the day that I first saw it, and then when I finally did peer through, I just saw one thing, clear as a bell, and I haven't attained that again, but it's good to talk about it, because, well, one, if it's something that can be perfected, seems like it would be pretty useful. And if as time goes on, like specific, oh shit, I'm playing with my fingers. So that might have been what I saw. I don't think so though, because there was the definite, and I'm closing my eyes so I don't see it, but I was just accidentally playing with my fingers and fidgeting, and that may have been some of what I saw, but, and I also definitely saw myself swiping. Yeah, there was something to the hands were up, making something, or at least up on the screen, or vertical to my view. They could have been down on something, but the way that I'm looking at it, the way that I hopefully record it, some sort of malleability to it. I want to draw the thing, but I don't want to watch myself drawing, because I could bring more clarity to what I just saw if I draw it. But I'm afraid now, I mean, I drew before and I hadn't even thought of these things, and it worked out okay, but in one of my other Proofecy Protocol videos, but now I've gotten like super afraid that like, oh, I can't see anything, you know, just gotta shut my eyes. But as time goes on, maybe, and this is just something I'm doing by the seat of my pants, so maybe, you know, 5-10 years from now, maybe I'll have developed like a really good, smooth protocol for this type of thing. I don't at this point want to get other people involved, you know, but who knows, maybe as time goes on. I gotta pee kind of, but I don't want to go pee, because then I might look at myself grabbing my ding dong, and then that would certainly fit the malleable state, so I'm just gonna have to hold my pee. I ain't peeing. And I also don't want to piss all over my floor. Not that it would be the first time. And I also want a stogie. So if I do it with one hand, I'm okay. This is falling into the image. Fuck! So, yeah, maybe all the hand shit is just me trying to fish this out of the pack. I never think this is gonna work. Alright, I'm gonna have to smoke with my eyes closed so I don't see my hand smoking. I started chewing some Nicorette gum. I smoke a pack and a half a day, give or take. The last 2 days, I've been down to about 20. For the last 3 days, I've been down to about 20. Chewing the gum. Did pretty good during the day. This is my 6th one today. Was it my 6th? I had 3. And I had 2. Yeah, so this is my 6th one today, and it's like 1:30-ish. The Nicorette gum does seem to help. I'd like to get down to a half pack. I also bought some seltzer water. I thought, well, maybe when the evening comes, I can pound down several seltzer waters. Try and curb this thing. That whole thing I was doing way back, where I was just drinking a little small shots of vodka with a bunch of water, that actually worked pretty good, except for the fact that there was always a big bottle of vodka lying around, or even a small one, but I just don't have the discipline to not take a swig off it. And then, well, I definitely have a drinking problem, smoking problem, coffee problem, food problem, all kinds of problems. Not sure how we're doing for time. Seems as though we're still recording. Alright, what time is it? Oh! Alright, give it a few more minutes. Just accidentally looked at both of my hands with the cigarette in it, twiddling the cigarette. So yeah, well, this whole thing could be ruined. But I guess I'm doing this because it helps me identify where the protocol is weak. Protocol is like the series of actions, making this, like trying to develop. Like I'm in the, doing it by the seat of my pants, real time, in the process, document, creating a process that maybe can be streamlined, such that there's readily accessible proof, but also, like, at least some narrative structure that, like, maybe people can relate to. And, I'm not saying I'm trying to teach something. I mean, I would be the worst teacher because I'm the least qualified. The only qualification that I have is that I have a very, very small propensity for whatever this is, and I'm willing to explore it, and I'm willing to document it, which, why would I want to do that and open myself up to, like, my entire channel is like one long embarrassment. But if it's worth it, at the end, because if this type of thing were to happen, it would be proof. It would mean if you could develop like a solid, real protocol proof. Like, it would reach beyond the realm of, like, I hate people saying, like, paranormal studies. I hate all that shit because it's so fucking hokey and stupid. And so much of it is horseshit, you know. And you can come to a lot of false conclusions, but at the same time, it also speaks to a lot of the, because quote-unquote esoteric subject matter can be full of knowledge, and it can be full of shit, and it can be misinterpreted and all that kind of thing. But anyway, if you could to some extent prove the means to peer through time, which I already know is true, but like, if you can prove it just not to yourself, if we can just put the whole thing to rest and prove it, like, it would wipe out like whole branches of like physics. It would just wipe it out. It would be like, this isn't true. I mean, there are more cosmological or whatever theories at the moment. It's crazy. Right? But anyway, whole branches would be knocked out. And it wouldn't be like to be like haha or anything like that. It would just be like, anybody working on it could be like, okay, this is clearly wrong because this paradigm doesn't support that result. And it's a lot cheaper than building a multi-billion-dollar contraption or multi-million-dollar contraption. Just be like, yeah, for the time it takes to whip out the ubiquitous cell phone and engage in a strict protocol,